The third trimester is when the real party begins. 1 minute you are glowing, the next you are waddling like a penguin, craving pickles at 2 a.m., and Googling, is this a contraction or just gas? Baby kicks turn into full blown somersaults, sleep takes a backseat, and suddenly it's all getting very real. The countdown is on, and so is the chaos. Welcome back to the fourth episode of The Care Circle, a podcast series by Motherhood Hospitals. I'm your host, Sahiba, and in today's episode, we are diving into the third trimester, the final stretch before delivery. It's a mix of emotion, and while it's a beautiful phase, it also comes with its own set of challenges. Today, we have with us Dr. Suhasini Inamdar, who brings with her 33 years plus of experience and is a true trailblazer in women's health. From high risk pregnancies to infertility issues, she has successfully handled it all. A senior consultant, obstetrician, and gynecologist at Motherhood Hospitals, Indranagar, Bangalore, she is also a passionate teacher, researcher, and mentor. Her mission is to support women through every stage of life, from puberty to menopause, with care, compassion, and a big smile. Welcome to the Care Circle, Dr. Suhasini.
Thank you, Saiba, and Namaskar. I'm very happy that you included me today in this session of yours. This particular phase of the pregnancy is very close to my heart because at this time of the pregnancy, I see the couple involving too much into the plan of the treatment and looking forward to the arrival of the new one. So, yes, I'm very happy and thank you for having me here.
So, doctor, the first question that pops up in my mind when I think about the third trimester is, how does the third trimester look like for a couple? Are they excited or anxious about a new member coming into their family? What's the feeling like?
So when I see my couple parents coming in third trimester, they are, two type of emotions I can see in them. The first one is they're really relieved that an anomaly scan is done and everything is okay with their baby. They have been ruled out about gestational diabetes, hypertension, these things. They have done all the screenings and the baby is healthy. But at the same time, they become very anxious because they don't know what to look forward to, how the third trimester is going to be. The mother is a little cranky because she's putting on weight. Her girth is becoming bigger and bigger day by day. She's not able to walk properly. She has to literally waddle like a duck. So she needs a lot of emotional and physical support. So here the husband needs to come in and give a lot of physical and emotional support. They should spend a lot of time also together because bonding this time takes them a long way. Now, in a social circumstances, what we see here is if the lady is pregnant for the first time, normally she would go to her mother's place for delivery. So that is also a challenge. Long distance, father needs to be there at the time of delivery. He cannot get leave, he cannot travel. So those are also the points which they are bothering about and thinking how to plan the delivery time. So sometimes these things also come into picture. But then this is a good time because nowadays they have baby moon, they have baby showers, and they can really enjoy their time together and welcome the new one. So I think for a couple, it's like mixed feeling, tensed, but very good also.
Understood, doctor. And I feel this is the time when the things start to get real. Moms are counting down to the due date, but they are also going through the physical and emotional turmoil. So, doctor, there are many things that they face, like back pain, swelling, and trouble in sleeping. So, what mom should expect during this time? What is normal and what is not normal?
So see what is happening is the mother is putting on weight. So she puts normally say 0.45 to 0.5 kilograms per week. So you can imagine how rapidly she's putting on weight. And this putting on weight makes her body unsteady. The center of gravity is gone somewhere else. The back muscles are working overtime. So definitely she'll have back pain. Pelvis is opening up to take the baby in. So her gait is all gone. She cannot walk properly. Lot of stress when she's sitting, getting up, walking. And this is a constant feature. This is a part of third trimester. So it is not a very easy feeling, not very easy thing to go through. But yes, physiotherapy and antenatal classes, which we started in second trimester, really help them. So this is one thing what she will face. Second thing is because the head is pushing down, going to the place where it should be in the pelvic cavity. Her bladder is getting irritated all the time. So she feels like going to washroom every now and then. So basically, washroom is a second house. She's inside, outside, inside, outside. And that is not a very great feeling to be, all the time going to the toilet. Third thing is she feels a lot of swelling on her feet, fingers. This is all because of the hormonal changes and water retention. Her skin is gone for a toss. The pigmentation is intense. Itching comes. These all are making her miserable. So these are the things when they are normal, that's all good. But when they become pathological, which we'll come to later on, then you have to visit to your gynecologist again and find out if things are going wrong and which way she should go to. Another thing what they experience in third trimester is drastic contractions. So these are the contractions where uterus is trying to push the baby in the place and learning how to behave in labor. So what the mother would feel is like intense stone-like feeling in the tummy because of the contractions of the uterus, but they are painless. So it is just the tightening what she feels, but then there is no other pain and she is comfortable. But once she understands that these are painless, that is a good thing to be. There are some myths surrounding even the sleeping positions and how she should turn. So the granny's tale is every time you want to turn, you get up, sit and turn. And because of that stress, poor thing, she doesn't sleep. This is not true. She can directly turn on the bed. It is not going to entangle the umbilical cord around the baby's neck. That's what is being told from ages, that if you turn directly, the umbilical cord gets entangled and the baby will have a suffocation. But it doesn't happen like that. And of course, the bathroom becomes a second home for the mother because every now and then she's going, coming out, going to the bathroom, coming out. This happens because of the irritation of the urinary bladder by the head of the baby, which is trying to come down. So these are things which are uncomfortable, but yes, she's looking forward to someone coming new. She can feel the baby movements. She can talk to the baby and baby responds to her talk. Baby responds to the song she sings. The conversation between husband and wife, what is happening, even to that sometimes the baby responds. There is something called Garbh Sanskara in our society. This means that during pregnancy, if you converse with the baby and instill some habits and some rituals, then the babies turn to pick them up in the womb. Similarly, in Sanatan Dharma, they say that if you teach them various things, when the baby is out, it feels at home. It doesn't feel it has come to an alien world. And when you sing the same songs, the same story, when the baby is crying, if you do this, the baby, they really calm down. And this is a known fact. And I'll tell you one thing, Saiba, I'm very happy when the babies are delivered and the parents bring them to me. They really respond to my voice, There is a smile on their face and that makes my day. I really feel so happy.
Doctor, I'm shocked and surprised that I never knew that such things even exist, right? And I really feel we are sitting on a gold mine and that gold mine is named Dr. Suhasini. We are getting so much good insights. So, Doctor, another interesting thing that I've heard is some women witness this famous nesting instinct when they are in their third trimester. Like I had a friend who used to get up at 2 a.m. and started deep cleaning the kitchen cabinets and the floor. So what that is all about, doctor?
So I think this is true to both the parents, mother and father would be. Basically, they say it is hormonal, but I don't think so. It is just a human nature. But this doesn't happen to everyone. Some couples definitely have this to get everything prepped for the eventuality. So the baby is coming, that's a big day in their lives. They want everything to be perfect. So cleaning happens, preparation for the baby happens, nursery is made, everything is done. Father is also equally taking part. So I've seen many couples where the father is working overtime diligently to make that extra money for the new member adding to the family. They make the house baby proof by, so if they're staying in third floor where there's no lift, they shift to first floor. Or they shift to the apartment where the lift is there. I mean, to this extent, they do the things. And I've seen one parent of mine, the father went and bought a car, which was like a baby-friendly car where he could put a car seat and all. So it's definitely there. Nesting is definitely there. Sometimes it can be because of the mother going in labor also. So this is the time when, she feels, let me finish off because I'm getting tense and I have to go to the hospital. But yes, it's for real. It's for real.
And also, doctor, by now the babies are pretty active in the womb. And what should moms be looking out for when it comes to the baby movements?
So baby movement is like very important to us because we do third trimester antenatal checks, 15 days and then weekly ones. What happens with them in between our visits? So I tell all my mothers would be that you monitor your baby. You are the obstetrician of yourself in my absence. So you monitor the counts. So generally there are two ways of counting the movements where we can feel that baby is good. So total count of movements should be 15 plus around that time. And she can count the entire day, or she can select 3 different hours and each hour should be 5 movements per hour count. Baby sleeps in the daytime, like how we sleep. So the sleep pattern is 3 hours roughly in 12 hours. So if 3 hours mother doesn't feel any movements, that's fine, no problem. But if she feels that more than 3 hours she's not felt anything, she should have a cup of coffee. Coffee is allowed in pregnancy. This is again a myth that you should not have coffee and tea. 1 cup of coffee and 1 cup of tea is good enough to have. And she should eat something. In spite of that, if she doesn't feel any movements, then come to hospital. In third trimester, there are many, many visits which will be of like false alarms. But it's always worth it to err on the right side than on the wrong side. Because yes, when you are checked and you are all okay, be happy and go home. So this is one thing about the fetal movements. Sometimes they can feel tiny movements which are because of the hiccups of the baby or because of the blood vessel getting pulsatile, mother's blood vessels basically. And sometimes cord pulsation, if the mother is very lean and thin, can be felt. So these are about the movements of the baby in the third trimester.
Understood, doctor. And what are those tests and important vaccines that the mother has to go during this time?
So a third trimester, there are some labs, what we do. Lab workup is there where we see the renal function test, liver function test and general CBC to understand our hemoglobin values. We do a random sugar test and we rule out any infections in urine by doing a urine test. If need be, we even do a vaginal swab culture. If it is not required, then we don't do it. Another test will be sonology, which is done as a growth scan and interval growth scan. So growth scan normally we do around 28 weeks and interval growth scan comes at about 36 weeks. If need be to see the amniotic fluid level, again AFI scans are done. But that is individual case based test. We don't routinely do it. Then to monitor, as I spoke earlier, that if the movements are less, then we do a test called NST. NST basically is non-stress test and if required, we repeat it every week or 10 days, depending other clinical aspects what we see in the would-be mother. So NST is nothing. We tie a belt around mother's belly and she's given a probe where she marks the movements of the baby. And this is basically like a trace how we take an adult ECG of the baby we take and we compare this with the movement chart. So this gives us sort of reassurance that everything is good with the baby. So these are basically the tests what we do in the third trimester. Vaccinations are basically only one which will be left for the third trimester, which is DTaP vaccine, which is for tetanus, diphtheria and pertussis. And if the mother is RH negative, would be father is positive, then we give anti-D one injection at about 30-32 weeks. So this is about the vaccination and the test during third trimester.
Now let's talk about red flags. What are some signs moms to be shouldn't ignore and should bring up with their doctors right away?
So this is very important. As we have previously spoken about the movements, that's the very important thing. What I tell to all my patients is, if when you come for your check, I am your obstetrician. I check you. I check the well-being of the fetus, of the baby, how it is doing. But other times you are your own obstetrician. So keep a good tab on the number of movements. So if she's having 15 movements in a day, counting either throughout the day or hourly basis, it should be 15. So if the movements are less or she doesn't feel any movements, this is one of the biggest signs she should run to the hospital. If she breaks her water, then she should come to the hospital. It is easy to understand that it is breakage of water and not urinary leakage because this water doesn't stop. Urine you can hold, you can control the flow, but this you cannot. Third thing is any discharge which is blood stained or mucus, she should come to the hospital. Other symptoms like headache, blurring of vision, feeling dizzy are other symptoms which you should look into. Sudden swelling over the body again is not good. These are signs which tells us that the mother is going towards getting PIH or pregnancy induced hypertension. If she is a GDM, gestational diabetic, then she should check her sugars also if she's feeling dizziness, because the sugars maybe they have dropped down and she's feeling dizzy because of that. So these are things we should see, and if anything out of the way she feels, she should come to the hospital.
That's so important to know, doctor. Even if it feels minor, better to be safe than sorry. So, doctor, what are the tests and important vaccines a mother has to go for?
So in the third trimester, there's some lab work what we do and some scans. So in lab, we do the CBC to understand how the hemoglobin level is. And if it needs intense correction, we give some IV iron injections. We see a routine random blood sugar. We see renal function test, liver function test. We see a urine routine and culture. And sometimes we do a vaginal swab to rule out vaginal infection, if any, if required. As far as the scans are concerned, we do a growth scan at about 28 weeks, which can be 28 to 32 weeks, and interval growth scan at about 36 weeks. In between, we may need to do AFI Dopplers if the fluid levels and the blood flow to the uterus is not okay. If they are okay, there is no need to do these two tests. Now, the second thing, Saiba, as far as the vaccination is concerned, we are done with 2 vaccinations till date. In third trimester, only one, which is Tdap, which is tetanus, diphtheria and pertussis vaccination, is required, and that is done. If the mother is Rh negative and would be father is positive, then we give anti-D injection at about 30 to 32 weeks. So this is about the tests and the vaccination in third trimester.
So, doctor, let's talk about antenatal classes, perineal massage, and pelvic exercises. Sounds intense, but I know a few of the mothers who have said that it's like a game changer for them. So, what is it that is really effective, and when should the mom start?
So this is a very good question. There are so many ifs and buts about all the antenatal exercises and classes. But the reason why a mother should go for these, one is the bonding what she has with other women who are of the same gestational age. She goes with her husband. If as a couple, if they go, then there is a bonding between both of them. Third thing is she increases her stamina. She always has a positive outlook if she's going for the classes. Whether she'll go for a vaginal delivery if she's exercising, that is query. Maybe she'll have a good vaginal delivery, maybe she will not. But the stamina and the positive outlook is very, very important. Breathing also teaches you how to tackle the pain during labor. So that is equally important. Now, the perineal massage is a very good point what you raised, Saiba, because in Asian women, generally it is seen, it is not by rule, but it is seen that the perineum of Asian women is much shorter than the perineum of the Western counterpart. So the tests, the requirement of episiotomy, the requirement of instrumental deliveries is always higher in Asian women. It is an observation. So if they do perineal massage, they are making their perineum quite lax and stretchable. And that helps for the vaginal delivery. Episiotomy, we feel should be given as a routine, because then we can really prevent unwanted tears, which is involving the urethra and the rectum. So episiotomy is a must, but perineal massages will definitely help them to bear down nicely. It is very easy to be done. The mother herself can do it, or the partner can do it. They have to just lubricate their fingers and start from the center of the vagina and go from 3 o'clock to 9 o'clock position. And this really helps them. So 3 to 4 sittings in a day, every day, maybe repetitions of 15 to 20 will really help them. So this is about the perineal massage. And walking, jogging, swimming, if they can, yes, definitely it will be really good. Girls who are into yoga should continue their yoga. Maybe the reps can go down, but should not be stopped because they are in third trimester. So this is all about the exercise part of it.
All right, doctor. Now it's time for a quick and fun rapid fire round to help moms feel fully prepared for the big day. Are you ready, doctor?
Yeah, very much.
So, doctor, first one is finalizing your birth plan. Why should moms do this?
So it is not a must, Saiba, that every couple or mother would be to finalize the birth plan, but it's always better to be well informed. So what does a birth plan mean? It is a discussion between your obstetrician and yourself to understand whether you're going to go for a natural birth or assist vaginal birth or a C-section. So a natural birth wherein we don't give you anything to support or alleviate your pain or anything. We just let it be whatever is happening, and we are always there if things go very wrong to deliver the baby out. In assisted, we make sure that you are comfortable throughout the journey of the labor and you deliver nicely. C-section is, of course, it is not a normal birth, vaginal birth, but it is not abnormal. Our cesarean section is never to be considered as abnormal. Now, what are the indications where we choose cesarean sections? There are various indications. Some are real indications and some are not so real. Not so real, I should talk first, because normally what I've seen, the trend is this is good day, this is a good time, this is not Rahu Kalam, this is not this Kalam, and I want a Muhurtam delivery. So this is not a necessary indication, but yes, if the couple wants it and they are very sure about it, then we do it. What are our indication as obstetrician? It can be mother's indication or the baby's indication. Suppose if the baby is not growing well in the womb, the growth is gone down, the fluid levels have gone down, then we have to deliver the baby out and bring the baby out to a safer environment where the mother can take care of baby in a better way. In mother indication, if the sugars are not under control, or she is a GDM even under control, or she is having severe PIH where the BP is not under control, then we only tell them get cesarean done. We can also give them the option of induction of labor, where we put some medicines and induce the labor. So that choice we leave to mother, but if it is absolutely necessary that we have to go for cesarean, we explain them very well and go ahead with that. So these things are discussed in birth plan, and it's always better that the couple comes and discuss.
Those are some really good insights, doctor. Okay, my next question, doctor, is what should absolutely go into the hospital bag?
Oh, that's a lovely question. First is, of course, whatever clothes you are comfortable in. Your change of clothes, your comfortable slippers, because during the labor, we normally ask you to move around. Until unless you are in good active labor, we don't shift you to labor room. You are in your comfort of your room and you're moving around. So nice, comfortable clothes. Though we have everything available in the hospital, but those clothes are on your, or I mean, what I should say is your own. You are very comfortable in that. So that is important to have. Then get some book which you are reading or you like to read, some music which you are very fond of. These are all the things which will calm you down when you are in your first stage of labor, which is sometimes very prolonged and very boring. So these things will help you to take care of yourself during that time. Then, of course, the baby things are also important to come in the bag. So our society, some people want old clothes for the baby. They don't want to get new clothes. There is again a myth saying that don't prepare unnecessarily. Let baby come and then you do things whatever you want to do for the baby. So if you are getting older clothes, they should be nicely washed and ironed so that they are almost sterilized and they don't do any harm to the newborn. So keep those things ready in your bag. Then of course, whatever your sanitary requirements are, actually these all things are available in the hospital. So these two components which I am telling, if you are ready with those, it's great, good enough.
And the comfort zone is really important for the mother.
Exactly.
Next one is, what are the top pain relief options during labor?
This is a good question, and many people opt for cesarean because they think labor is very painful. Labor is painful, but it is not that we cannot endure. It is okay to have pain because it comes and goes. So there are various options. We can give them some injections which are, synthetic narcotics which make you sleepy, and because of that sensation and because their nature of pain relieving chemicals, these are safe. These are safe for mother and baby. So the pain is gone. But the use is periodic. It is not a continuous thing which we give. So when the mother complains of intense pain, we give it. She is relieved. She gets dilated also by the time, and that's how she is comfortable. Second thing is TENS. TENS is a thing which is transcutaneous electric nerve stimulation, which we have electrodes in here. We put it at the mother's back. And with a small battery, mother can only press the probe and the stimulus is released. And that gives quite a pain relief during the first stage of labor. So she can use this. Some girls are very happy, some are not happy, so the sensation differs. But the most important pain relief component comes as in epidural analgesia during labor. So this is given in the mother's spine. Anesthesiologists are the doctors who give this, and with this, the pain is almost nil, and mother is very comfortable during the entire labor stage. Only thing is sometimes she is too numb to push out the baby. So in that case, we have to just use vacuum or forceps to bring out the baby. So these are the three components of pain relief which medically we can do. Then we have ball exercises which we ask them to do in the labor room. Walking itself is very good pain relief. They can sit in hot tub of water if they are going for natural birthing. And keeping on changing the position, not lying down continuously on the bed, also helps for pain relief during labor.
So, doctor, can we also say that painless labor is really possible?
I would say, Saiba, it is less pain labor, not painless. So the pain is less, contractions are happening. Mother is very comfortable with that small quantity of niggly, sweet pain. And the journey is very, very happy journey for her during the labor.
So, doctor, the next question is, what if my water breaks but contraction doesn't start?
The nature is made our uterus is like that by and large, what happens when the water breaks? Generally, the pain would start in, say, 6 to 10 hours. But if that doesn't happen, and when a lady comes to us with the water leakage, we send for some tests, and those tests are indicating towards infection or raised CRPs or anything. Then we induce the labor. So we give some medicine with which the contraction starts, and with the contraction, the head will come down, the cervix will dilate, and the mother would deliver easily. But if the head is not fixed, if she's not, and in spite of taking the medicine, she's not dilating, then we have other options of delivering by going for a cesarean section.
So, the next one is, doctor, can I eat during labor?
So when the pains are periodic and coming frequently and strong, we tell them not to eat, because with each pain you feel like vomiting. And if you vomit and gag it, then it goes into your trachea and lungs, which is not a good thing to be. So normally if a lady is in active labor, then we say take only liquid diet. We tell them not to have solids. And liquid also should be clear liquids, which are basically tender coconut water, some clear soups or juices like that, which are clear, not very pulpy, which are easily digestible, and they don't regurge. So this is how we tell them to take.
So, our next segment is also one of the favorite segment, that is the rapid fire myth or fact. So, are you ready for that, doctor?
Yes, absolutely.
So, the first myth is, doctor, it's not safe to travel in the third trimester.
I would say it's a myth because it depends on the would-be mother. If everything is okay with her and she's traveling short distance and it is a good mode of transport, why not? She can. But long distance and very fag end of third trimester, better avoid, because you never know when you will go in labor. So avoid that time. But it's a myth that you cannot travel.
Second one is, doctor, you can predict labor by looking at your belly drop.
No, not at all. It's a myth.
Third one is, doctor, spicy food can induce labor.
So this is, I would say, myth or fact, both in between. I'll give 50-50% to this. So what happens with spicy food, or up now there's a custom of giving ghee and milk to the pregnant women in third trimester. And why that is done? Because it increases the bowel movement. The bowel is cleared and the nerve supply to the bowel and the uterus is same. So in the third trimester, when this is happening, the uterus is also getting stimulated a bit. Same thing is true to the spicy food. So if she's taking that, both the nerves are getting stimulated and she may go in for labor. So that is the science, so-called granny science behind this, which is like very intelligent. And yes, 50-50 to both.
Next one is, doctor, you should stop exercising in the last month.
No, it's absolute myth. Do everything till you come to labor room. Go to office, go do your housework, do your exercises, do your suryasanas, whatever you can do. Please do it.
I even seen, doctor, the many mom to be do that headstand during pregnancy.
That, yes, if there is nothing wrong with the VP and sugars and all, yes, can do that.
will do that.
Yeah.
Okay, the last one, doctor. Once you reach full term, labor can start anytime.
Yes, in third trimester, labor can start anytime. So that is one of the fears of all the mothers, whether they are going to go for a preterm labor or they are going to go for a preterm breakage of waters. So this is truth. Yeah, it is not a myth.
I'm a bit curious. What are some of those unusual or unexpected questions your patients often ask you?
Saiba, and then few couples, they have come up with a unique question. Should they or should they not have intercourse in the third trimester? So the science behind is very, very nice and intelligent. So what happens when they have intercourse? The semen is deposited into the vagina, and semen is very rich in prostaglandins, and prostaglandin is one of the chemical which induces labor. So yes, this is a prep of the cervix to soften, to start opening up, and that's why intercourse is going to help them in labor. But it should be done post, say, if by choice, by say 34 weeks onwards, not earlier than that. And sometimes it is known, I don't know, like how we spoke about the perineal massage. It's known to ease out the tension in the perineal muscles also, because it increases circulation having each and every episode of intercourse. So yes, in a way, it helps the pregnant women to go into labor. So another thing which girls would ask me, that my mother-in-law has told me to have a glass of milk with saffron. So which saffron should I use? So my answer to them is, see, saffron, all saffrons are good, whichever you want you can have. But imagine why mother said that, or mother-in-law said that, is because it is coming from generations. And what was the implication that time? That time we used to have joint families. The pregnant women wouldn't get much to eat and drink. So at least a glass of milk she would get in the name of saffron. Saffron as such doesn't do anything, but yes, a glass of milk definitely gives a required amount of little bit of calcium and some protein. So yes, you should have a glass of milk with saffron, without saffron, doesn't matter.
Another important question that popped up in my mind is, Doctor, what about the working moms? How can they slide into maternity mode smoothly?
So nowadays, what I'm seeing is many of the ladies are either working from home or they have hybrid work. So I think this they can carry on till they can carry on. We never say that stop working because you're in third trimester or you have to prep for the labor. Everything should go hand in hand, but of course, the lady should not get overwhelmed with everything around her, work, house, herself. So make a good balance between what you can do and what you can avoid. So if you feel that every day getting up, preparing the lunch boxes, taking the cab, going to the office is a chore, then don't do it. Take off from work or take a permission where we write down a letter and give to work from home. And if you feel work from home also is like a big, hassle, then please be off work. Doesn't matter, but be active. That is what I would say. But by and large, no stopping work. Why? No, don't.
Moms, too, we should take
Yeah.
that note. So, before we sign off, what's your number one piece of advice for moms in their third trimester, Doctor?
I would say be happy, because when you are happy, everything is positive about you, about yourself, about the things which are going to come, the baby and all. Don't get carried away with my friend had this, my sister had this, my mom is saying this, my mom-in-law is saying that. These are all the things which will happen. It is a family, it's a friend circle. So, okay, I think all of us should learn to do copy, paste, and delete. Get the info, copy, paste what we like, what we should do, and delete what we don't want. And this will be I'm telling you, this time is not going to come again till you have another pregnancy. So just enjoy. Enjoy talking to the baby. Enjoy the kicks, what you're feeling inside, and it's a bliss, I'm telling you. So enjoy this phase of your pregnancy and be happy. And all the best to all the mothers and fathers who are listening to this podcast. Enjoy and be happy.
Thank you, Doctor. That was such a warm and fun advice. And to all the moms listening, hang in there. You are doing amazing. You are just weeks away from meeting your baby. Thank you so much, Doctor, for being a part of this podcast.
Thank you, Saiba. It was a pleasure. Thank you very much.
If today's episode helped you feel more confident about what's ahead, be sure to follow the Care Circle, your very own expert led safe space by Motherhood Hospitals. Follow us on social media for more tips and updates. Until next time, stay healthy and take care.